I want to talk about the issue and the opportunity that exists in philanthropy around donor-advised funds. So just to make sure we're all on the same page in this room, what is a donor-advised fund and what is the current landscape there? So a donor-advised fund is a charitable vehicle. It's meant to facilitate charitable giving. And so a donor puts money into this charitable vehicle, and it's like putting money into a checking account, a charitable checking account. You can put the money in and you can write checks. And someone who puts money into a DAF is charitably minded because that money goes in, it's irrevocable. You can't get it back. You also are inspired to put that money in because there is a tax break as soon as you do. You put the money in, you get your tax break up front. So this can kind of drive timing in terms of when people are putting money into a DAF. And in fact, that's what happened 20 some years ago. My husband and I, our financial advisor came to us and said, this is a good year to put money into a DAF. It helped offset another liquidation event. So DAFs can drive timing. That there is that incentive. And so when we're talking about these DAFs, there's three different types of DAFs. One is the national DAF sponsor. These are Fidelity, Schwab, Vanguard. This represents about 70% of DAF accounts are at these national sponsors. About 25% are at community foundations. That money will more likely go to the local organizations. And then there are single purpose DAFs around education or religion. So theoretically, this is all working well. You're going to move the money. You're going to give out over a year, 5 years, 10 years. Maybe you'll give this money out over your lifetime. Maybe you'll pass it down to your kids. And this is where there's a problem because there is no payout requirement on DAFs. You can keep that money forever. And in fact, that money over the last decade has been growing. You can get your head around $1 million, $100 million, $1 billion. That's hard to get your head around. What about $229 billion? Philanthropic, charitable dollars, tax-free dollars, public money sitting in donor-advised funds across the country. This is a huge problem. And what do we do about this problem? There's been a kind of a chance to kind of a top-down approach of changing the policy. So maybe we need a payout requirement. So the ACE Act, the Accelerate Charitable Efforts Act, was put in front of Congress, and this was to look at all philanthropic dollars and foundations as well as DAFs. How are we going to move this money? And the ACE Act suggested a 10-year payout requirement for DAFs. It hasn't gone anywhere, and it's because national sponsors and community foundations have lobbied against this. And why is this? Because they are making money on the money sitting in the DAFs. This is a systems problem, right? And I'm going to point to two areas, and there are many areas in the system working against actually moving money. So the Fidelities, the Vanguards, the Schwabs are making a lot of money. That money that's in the charitable vehicle can make some money, and there's a fee taken, often invisible to the donor. And so they're making hundreds, billions of dollars on the money sitting in the DAFs. Another issue, I think, is the mindset around that I see in many philanthropic organizations. This is a mindset that says, and community foundations talk about this, about their assets under management. I think that's a problem. When the bragging rights, when the measure of success, when the status is about assets under management and not assets being deployed, that is a real problem for moving money. We need to be thinking about assets under movement. So this is the system we're in, and I actually don't blame the individual donors and these families. I think they need to be informed, but they're not moving the money for really human reasons. One of those reasons is maybe I forgot I had a DAF. And this is because of what I described earlier. Your financial advisor comes to you, says, this is a good year. You say, oh yeah, I want to move my money into a DAF. And then no one ever comes back to you and says, hey, you have that money. Remember, let's get it. There's no inspiration. There's no nudge. There's nothing. So people forget they have one. People are busy. People are working hard. They're involved in their families. They're going to get to their philanthropy later. This is a problem. First of all, you need to build that muscle. You need to start to learn. You need to start to experience philanthropy. So now is the moment. As Nick mentioned, there's also this worry of this overwhelm that happens. This, I want to do something, I want to give, but I'm scared. I'm scared I'm going to get it wrong. And I blame philanthropy here again because it's been over-intellectualized. When you start talking about strategy and effective altruism, and who doesn't want to make every single dollar have impact? It just freezes people up. It gets them stuck. And so I'm really happy to see this new trust-based giving. And this should be joyful. This should be fun. And it is. So I've lost my train of thought here. I got so excited. Oh, what other reasons are people not giving? They have put this money aside, and this is what they're going to give over a lifetime. But here again, like, problems are not getting easier to solve. Climate change is not going to get easier to solve later. Now is the time to give. And I'm really all about now. And I'm about a story about what's possible, something else that Nick mentioned, and the importance of telling stories. So what my husband and I started is really a grassroots effort. It was driven by an emotional response to what was going on in COVID. So we were sheltering in place. My husband ran a global nonprofit focused on getting kids in the global South access to books, and he was feeling the funding drying up. And as donors, we felt like we needed to double down, we needed to accelerate those 3-year gifts and get money moving. But we also felt like this is the moment of real crisis in our country, real need. What are we going to do? And we sat in our backyard and we were thinking, we're going to give to these nonprofits. And we thought, well, we could inspire others to give along with us. And we were looking at DAFs too. And at the time, in 2020, there was $120 billion sitting in DAFs, which was hard to get your head around. That's more than almost doubled now. So this is moving in the wrong direction. But we came up with this idea called Half My DAF. We put up $1 million of our own money, and we said we're going to use this as matching grants. Simple idea. We're going to put this money up. We're going to inspire others to give. And we're going to say anyone who commits to spending down half of the money in your donor advised fund by the end of September, give wherever you want. Just give. We're trying to inspire giving. You'll be eligible for matches from us. So we got the idea together. We created a website. So me and my husband working together, which was actually pretty fun. I wasn't sure at first. We talked to press, we did webinars for nonprofits because these DAFs can be very opaque. What are they? Who's a DAF donor? And we launched with Giving Tuesday in May. And in 5 months, our million had turned into $8.6 million out the door from DAFs to nonprofits. It was exciting to us too, but who knew? I had no idea about what was going on in this space. And with that first year, I mean, we hadn't intended to make this a movement. We've now been at it for 5 years. The second year, and this speaks to the next gen, so we have 2 daughters. We realized we needed to keep this going, and our daughters came to us during the holidays and they said, we want to be part of this. We want to be part of Half My DAF. Our older daughter said, I'm going to give money towards it. So did our younger daughter, but our older daughter said, I want my money to go to racial justice. And our younger daughter said, I want my money to go to climate and environment. So the second year, we had the general fund give wherever you want, but then we had these buckets of money where we were showing up with our values. And this last year, we showed up with our values. Nick also mentioned the All by April. We worked with Democracy Fund and moved money sooner, offering matches for organizations that are working, bipartisan organizations working for free and fair, what is that called? Elections, thank you. So we have moved over $67 million through Half My DAF, which is very exciting. And I just want to leave you with the thing that I feel is very, very important that I actually started with is that we really need to move money now. We need to talk about assets under movement. We need to move that money, and we need to make it joyful. This is something that's exciting. And so Half My DAF really is inserting into a system meant to keep the money sitting. We're inserting inspiration, excitement, and a sense of urgency. Thank you.